members of Bapst's old parish come to visit their friend, and they're happy to see. Confessions are heard as well. And by about 9:30 or so, the last visitor apparently has gone, and so Bapst sits down to talk with the Kents, as he had so many times before. By this point, basically, the rain is now becoming much more substantial. And what we know is basically that in one of the taverns along Water Street, it is said that two of the volunteer fire companies, but maybe some members of the cast iron band, the vigilante group, and so forth, it's estimated variously at 100 to 150, maybe people exaggerate, maybe it's 80 or 90, something like that. But these people meet, and apparently, I think this is quite significant, because sometimes you say, mob attacked by the Bapst. No. A rather formal meeting was held in which the people voted to feel that Bapst had violated the community order, that he was never to return to Ellsworth again. In other words, the evidence seems to be, and you see it by the way the gang operates, that they are very disciplined in leadership. They are, from their view, administering town policy. And so they make their way up, perhaps Pine Street, perhaps Elm or Dean, not sure. But they make their way up to the Kent residence and they surround the place. Inside, the Kents hear noise and they look out, and there is seen somewhere around 80, 90, 100 figures, many of them in white with kind of belts tied around them or in other types of disguises, holding torches. And they've surrounded the house. And Catherine immediately takes the priest with her daughters, and with the idea of opening up in the back of the Kent residence. The area along High Street, east of there, today where the railroad tracks are, was known as Galway Green in the parlance of the day. And Court Hill was the even higher part of that area, and so the idea was maybe to let him out one of the back windows. But they look and see that the place is surrounded. That's not going to work. And so the women lead Bapst to the kitchen where there's a trap door, partially hidden. And he goes down in the basement, in the dark, standing behind a barrel down there. In the meantime, Richard Kent has gone out on the porch and saying, "What do you want? What's going on?" And somebody shouts out saying, "We know Bapst is in there. We want it." And Kent said, "No, he's not, for crying out loud." Indeed, come in and look. And so about maybe 7 or 8, it's hard to know, just speculating, all of the others advance around the house, and a small number go into the house, and they look around. It's a 2-story house. And they can't find him. In the meantime, imagine, here's Bapst standing in the dark in the basement, listening to the floorboards squeak as creak as people are walking across up above, and so forth. And suddenly, a fellow, last name, it's not Spencer, first name, but Copp, C-O-P-P, says, "Hey, for crying out loud, I was helping repairing this house, and I remember there's a basement in there." And so several go down into this darkened basement, carrying a torch. In the meantime, as Bapst sees them coming, he indicates that he gives a prayer to himself, and he steps forward to confront the figure coming out. He comes out of the darkness, and gives assembly. The people are just suddenly surprised by seeing him, but quickly they grab him, they haul him up the stairs, and down the road to the so-called Mount Desert Road. I don't know exactly where, but I'm speculating, given some other factors, that maybe around Card Brook, or what's the name of the street? I have witness here, blah, 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 I don't, but I can't name of the street, but I think it may be there. In any event, they carry him through the driving rain, and they immediately have a sharpened fence rail, and they put him astride it and bounce him up and down, and it breaks in the rain. And there's some speculation, we'll just kind of kick him down into a ditch here and so forth, some say. But not quite the sequence of it. In the distance, coming maybe down, I don't know, Water Street perhaps, or I'm not sure exactly what street it would be, but they see two torches. Turns out it's the deputy sheriff and a close friend of his, a mill owner by the name of Jones, Tom Jones, not a singer, but. And apparently when they see them coming, they change their mind about leaving the gutter. They divide into three groups. One of them throws an overcoat over Bapst, warning him that they will kill him if there's any attempt to identify himself. And all three groups go off in kind of parallel formation. The deputy sheriff stops and says, is going up trying to find Bapst in some fear that he's lost. So very little is made, but as they pass him, they throw rocks and other things at the deputy sheriff. The people at the deputy sheriff's later said, I didn't know they were involved. It's hard to know in a driving rainstorm why a group of a large number of maybe 30 or 40 people are suddenly out in the midst of this storm. But he goes off with his friend. They're trying to locate Bapst. In the meantime, basically, they move down to the waterfront. And I want to just emphasize that if you're in the library in Ellsworth sometime, go up to the second floor in the northwest corner. There's an excellent 1855 published map of Ellsworth, detailed with the house names and businesses and the like. There is a reference on the map to the Eastern Freeman newspaper. That newspaper went broke. It collapses in July of 1854. So the map is really drawn in detail right at the time almost of all this conflict within Ellsworth. And on that map, you see at Washington Street and Water Street, the prominent merchant and entrepreneur of Ellsworth basically has a shipbuilding enterprise. I'm trying to think of his name right now.
Seth.
I'm sorry?
Seth Tisdale.
Seth Tisdale. Public Library is the is I guess at least in part his old home. But if you look at that map, you'll see there's a mill, there's a store, a lumber store, but there's also a shipyard right there, pretty much at the base of Washington Street and the like. And so they carry Bapst there, they gather in the driving rainstorm. Apparently a woman nearby in the area gives them feathers from a pillow. Tar buckets, very difficult to get lit up, but they get finally lit up. And he's tarred up. In the process, and I should say being carried down, Bapst loses his watch. And he makes some claim, you shouldn't be stealing things. And somebody said, we are not stealing things, we're carrying out a community policy. The leader is very disciplined. Some of them talk about killing Bapst. He says, no, if you do